Hello and welcome to the last session of this first arc of Godbound. We will be doing a second arc of this. We'll do another quarterly starting in January. That's our plan. That's what we're going to do so that we can continue with the various hooks and stories that we have on the table. My name is Lowell, pronouns he, him, and this session is part of the Gauntlet Gaming Calendar, which if you're at session 12 of a Godbound thing, I'm assuming you've heard me talk about this several times. It remains the same. We are there. We are eternal until everything crashes down. That's the way of things. Last time, we left off with our Pantheon having dispatched a set of dangerous guardians at a temple deep in the jungle, a temple called the Temple of Elemental Evil. It lies here. It has 4 faces. Our group have discovered that 2 of the faces have had the seals broken on them. And they have explored one of those 2 areas. They haven't gone further in, but they have uncovered a relic within that area that they explored. And the sphere that has apparently contained within it some kind of storm. It appears to be some kind of magical artifact. The temple does seem to go further back. There does seem to be more in there, but that's sort of where we left off last time. The other broken seal is on the elemental side for the jungle and forest. The temple of the ocean of that is still sealed, but has reacted to the presence of Captain Ransom. And then last but not least, on the farthest side is the Temple of Blood, which you have been kindly asked not to mess with. But we take up with all of you having the chance. Yes, Sherry.
May I have a question? Essentially, my impression was last time, just as we were wrapping up, when we found that sphere, we had the impression that something had left from this storm temple, and
Yes.
that this sphere might be some way for us to help deal with it.
It definitely seems like whatever wards or mechanisms or things were used to contain this elemental, that sphere was part of that. So right. Yes.
Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure.
No, I think that's a good point of clarification.
So essentially we have given that sphere into the caretaking of Evedro, or are you Odevi right now?
I believe I have it in stasis.
Oh, you have stasis. That's right. You have the awesome stasis. Can you put all of the orbs into there and it'll be okay? They can't interact with each other. There's not going to be some sort of, okay, that's good. Because I wouldn't like for your stasis to become lively, active, elemental hellscape.
Relic miscability.
Yeah, exactly.
There's probably a table for that.
That's very old schooly, but
Yes.
Always.
So because of the way that things work, you sit and rest that evening. I assume up in that space, that cave that beast dwelt in, to give yourself some cover, and you will heal all of your damage. You will return back up to full.
And their effort as well, correct?
Your effort will reset. I will assume that you 4 will take watches of some kind. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll do it that way.
Well, Tassos never needs to sleep. It's just a matter of how long he'll pay attention for.
That was my thought exactly. Does anyone else not need to sleep?
Only when I'm traveling.
Okay. That's right.
If y'all want, since we're here at a dangerous temple, I can extend my endurance and all of you can gain sleeplessness.
Do we get the nightmares to go with it?
I mean, after the first week or so, almost certainly.
Oh, I would like that then. I have
just-
never had a nightmare.
I will commit an effort, and everybody is perpetually refreshed and not in need of rest, eating, drinking, or breathing, as long as you're within 100 yards of me.
So basically, all that's required is the time for healing, essentially, not heavy activity,
Mhm.
and so on. Ransom. We'll say this is at the time at which you have been, darkness has fallen. You've been there. You don't have to rest. You don't feel that tiredness, which I imagine is somewhat disconcerting. Your mentally, your body is still telling you something a little bit different. But you took I believe a decent amount of damage last time. So your body is re-knitting itself together. And at night the birds settle down. There are some nocturnal birds, but mostly the noise that you hear in your head about all of the avians kind of quiets down. But you're still kind of watching around, and you will pick up some movement down in the jungle. And it's not the movement of like the large beasts, and it's moving in a little bit different way than what you would expect as a natural pattern, like that. But the other thing I think you'll pick up is there's also, like, off that way, some movement definitely on that plaza / stairs that are part of that overgrowth area. And you remember you had seen some stuff that indicated it might be things up there when you first arrived. So what would you do, Captain Ransom?
The jungle side, I can't actually see. I'm just kind of hearing this, or
Just kind of, hearing it. It's dark, and they have the jungle as kind of a barrier.
okay, I can see in the dark, but I can't see particularly through things. So
No, you'd have to probably have to have something clear the way, or use another tact.
The thing down in the jungle, though, is would that be in line of sight?
So no, because I think it's further enough back that you've got essentially the
jungle
the
itself.
jungle, the overgrowth, both up top and then down below on the ground.
Okay. All right. I will inform everyone. I think there's something on the pyramid with us. Give me a moment and I will try to scout that out. Perhaps prepare yourselves.
I go with you.
If you'd like, I was planning on flying.
Oh,
Would you like to fly with me?
I have not done that. Yes.
All right. Then let's see. What's the easiest way? I guess this is the easiest way. As long as you don't try to fight me, I will turn you into an owl.
Oh, excellent.
And
I
will
immediately experiment with turning my head all the way around.
And we could fly around to take a look.
Ransom, you will sail up there with Threadless. kind of coming on to that above pyramid, getting yourself a little bit up, you will see figures moving in that top plaza. Again, overgrown with growth, with fruit, things like that. And you will see that there are a group of bipedal lizard folk that are up there. They have multicolored patches on their skin. And their eyes are like golden fruit in their heads. Otherwise, they look like a kind of a
You
weird.
mean literally?
It looks like a golden apple or a golden pear in where their eyes, like their eyes should be in the sockets.
I will hoot at Threadless to say, that is very unusual. I have to think that they have been affected perhaps by the magics. That can't be natural.
Oh, no, it isn't. So excellent. Friend or foe? Probably friend of the jungle. Don't know. Do they speak at all? Could we hear them speaking with each other, or do they just seem to?
No, they're being quiet, and they certainly aren't speaking in any kind of audible, intelligible tongue.
Are they working their way up the temple towards the?
See, like they've come out. There seems to be like moving to scout, to move, because there's been a lot of noise here. They're clearly aware of that, and you will see that some of them are beginning to like gather themselves together to scale down through the vines and such, clearly down to the grounds. They have weapons. They look like wood, shaped, worked, and certainly treated with something. They look like a very, very dark teak wood.
Interesting. Well,
Go ahead.
oh, no, I think she sort of stops and goes, so we know this is the temple of elemental evil, and since they seem to be closely tied to it, they may be evil too.
Well,
Still, I don't want to just start firing upon them.
I agree.
They move uncannily in this thing of like they're moving by like not how people, not how they're not coordinating with each other. They're just going to a certain place. Like, do they seem mechanized? Kind of like the rattan things would be.
That's a good question. Let's have you make an intelligence check.
Oh, of course, and a roll. That solves everything. Let's do it. My intelligence is, I have to beat an 8, I guess.
Okay.
And I don't get to add anything. I just roll them try to beat an 8, right?
Right.
Okay, let's see if I can do this. Oh, and I also, let's see here, I rolled a 12.
Okay.
And then I also have to make a roll for later on in the game that I can
Sure.
use.
Why don't we have you do that? And don't forget that if you have facts, you can always bring those into play.
Okay.
Okay. So 13 you've got sitting on the table. It looks to you like they're coordinated silently, but they don't seem mechanistic. Like they are moving in a natural way.
Okay, so they
Okay.
are they're probably coordinating, but mentally or something, or very, very quiet. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Let me ask, or Devi and Tassos, when Ransom and Threadless hear the noise, wake you up, tell you about it. Well, not awake, just kind of alert you to it since you've been there, and head off in these cool owl forms and leave you two just sitting up there. What is it that you two, 3? Yes, I forgot that we also have a Ransom assistant.
Legia.
Legia, what do you do? Or Devi?
Well, since they're owls, I was thinking I could light things up to make it easier to see, but I think they can see in the dark just fine without me. So I'm like, not really interested, but I remember from last time, I was quite keen to go further back in the cave.
Yes.
And I feel
good.
like our moral compasses have flown the coop.
So to speak.
So,
I mean, can exploration in and of itself ever truly be immoral or
good
moral?
or bad.
It is just a gathering of knowledge.
I'm so glad you're here with me, Tessa. I feel like you really truly understand me.
I mean, the fangs and dangers and claws that you imagine buried in the shadows and behind corners are never nearly as bad as the ones that are actually there to rip and tear, and claw, disembowel.
That's true. And I can imagine some pretty bad things. So I think I find myself now fully healed and not even remotely interested in lizard people,
Right.
kind of edging sort of like a little kid, like there's a toy store just over there. I kind of just want to go a little further into the temple.
I think you move your way in. You can see, again, it starts as a cave. You go a ways in, and there is that weird worked stone pillar that opened up for you that had the sphere. That's opened and empty now. And then there are a couple of finely worked stone passages that go deeper in. Looks to you like one goes upwards and one goes downwards.
Are there any markings, or I'm sort of desperate to have something to occupy myself so I don't just keep going in. So I'm looking for like writing or language or anything that I can try and translate.
Interesting. Do you have a particular gift that might be appropriate for finding hidden things?
Oh, not for finding hidden things. Well, I mean, not in the world, just on people.
Okay. I think you'll look around. You can tell that this seems to have been the sort of the front chamber of the holding place, and there doesn't seem to be any instructions here. But you imagine there maybe this thing was in here. Maybe it was guarding something, or maybe there was a control station or something like that. Surely that must have records or items, or there must be something to tell of what happened. This does seem like pre-fall.
There's no etchings on the wall or anything like that.
No, not that you're seeing here. If anything, you can tell that the wall is scored and marked, despite its clear strength and magical reinforcement, by generations of storm and lightning in here.
I will occupy myself with the pillar and just see if there's anything interesting in there.
It does look like maybe it connects up to some like maybe there's a larger magical device or ward or working deeper in the temple. It must connect up to that. You can kind of see the lines of power for that go deeper within. Let me check with Tassos, though.
Well, I mean, pillars are great and all, but there's this pathway that leads down, and
Yes, there's a pathway that leads up and a pathway that leads down.
well, but what's up? Attics? That's boring. Down it's basements, it's tombs, it's dungeons, it's ancient crypts, it's lost things. It's all the important things are down.
So you're going to head off and make your way down?
Well, yeah, just until I come across something interesting. Not abandoning or Devi. That would be cruel, and who knows? You might be scared of the dark. But just to see what's down here.
Absolutely.
But by the way, Tassos is exactly the excuse that I was looking for to go further into the temple. So I am like, ooh, I better go with him.
Yeah, wouldn't want to just absolutely split.
We got to stick together.
Right. And I think you two can start making your way down these stairs. And I say stairs, but they are more of a smooth stone angle. Like there's no steps. It's just a ramp that turns and then goes down further into this place. It is also scored and marked by the storm. Tassos, can I please have you make a save for me?
Well, a save
Yes, a save.
sounds threatening.
It does, doesn't it? And yet, why don't you make an evasion save for me?
Oh, quick is not something I would describe Tassos as.
But it's just just need an 11 or better, right?
Yeah, how hard could that be?
Or to beat an 11.
I got half of it. I got a 1.
Okay. So Ordevi, Tassos, you two are making your way down. There's a turn, a landing, another turn, a landing. And there's a moment when you step, and it's been so quiet here that when you hear the click, it's very loud. It's pronounced. And I think you'll hear a couple flights up, of something stone coming down. And you will also look and you see a segment up, and what looks like an enormous millstone comes rolling down towards you.
What a delightfully ominous sound. And oh, would you look at that?
We'll come back to you two in just one moment. Ransom, Threadless, you two are observing this. You know that there's still some movement down in the woods, and there are these things.
So are we calling the jungle woods now?
Jungle, woods, forest, green place.
As compared to jungle on the temple
Exactly.
in jungle on the ground.
So, yeah.
Okay. Well, we could try to scout whatever this is in the jungle surrounding the temple, or I could try to pick off a straggler of this group heading down and see if we could get some information. That might be a bit aggressive.
It is. I mean, it may be warranted, but we don't know. We have no sense of that yet. So we're up here on the pyramid. I have a pretty good sense of fertility and all of the plants and stuff like that. And that's kind of what the jungle is. It's sort of like over the top fertility is part of it, but it's like plant, stuff and things.
Wild, black, corrupt growth.
Okay. So what I'm looking for are those lizards that too?
Oh,
Do
yeah.
they give off that corruption? So she turns and she
absolutely.
goes, they're corrupt just like this jungle. So they are going to be a problem. But I'm not saying that it's their fault. I'm sure at some point they were just fine lizard folk, but
We could blame it on society, but
or this corrupt elemental stuff. But
could I snatch one and we question it?
are they heading towards our side of the, like where Alicia is?
They seem to be heading down.
Yeah, there's seem a couple groups that seem to be heading down. Remember, it's not easy for them to get from one side of the pyramid to the other. The growth doesn't go over that way.
Okay.
I mean, they have to be aware that someone was here. There were bombs dropped on the thing.
It
Yes.
was a little noisy. We can lay some traps for them as long as they aren't, what do you say, interrupting the flow of the jungle. They probably won't be all that astute to them. So I could.
Traps,
Mhm.
if you wish. I mean, I could just swoop down and grab one.
What do you want to get from them?
We could question them and find out what they're wanting, and perhaps discover more of what is in that temple there. Tassos is quite capable of getting people to talk.
Oh God, Tassos and Devi We left them back there.
Well, I'm sure they're not.
I
gonna
don't
get
think
in
we
trouble.
want to take trouble back there. But she sort of stops and says, okay, if you want to question them, I will assist you. And I guess we'll just see if we can get one that gets sort of isolated so that we could pick it off, though it's still kind of connected to all this jungle stuff, isn't it? Do I get a, and since they like seem to be, I mean, she does say they do seem like they're communicating very quietly, perhaps they're connected somehow by this power. So snatching one and thinking that we've isolated it might not be completely true. Just a point.
So Ransom, it will be all of, I think, an evasion save for you to do this without raising a ruckus.
All right. Well, what I'm going to do is fly over towards where I think one is as much as possible separated a little. And then I'm going to do my Raptor's Red Plunge. And an evasion would be to try to avoid being noticed. Is that correct?
It's basically to like not make a lot of sound when you grab this thing up and carry it off.
All right. So I suppose the first thing would be the evasion. 14. I will succeed.
Absolutely. And again, you have theft and bird. So just there's a grab onto this thing and you're away into the air. Where do you and Threadless want to take this? Do you want to take it up to the plaza at the top of the storm place where you were, or you want to take it someplace else?
Well, I had thoughts, having our others helping with questioning, but I will say as I, come back, and I probably transform back into a person, and I'm just sort of holding him, and with that red plunge, he's held helpless. So shall we question him ourselves, or should we go back to the others?
Let's see if we can.
All right. Join me at the top.
All right. I will.
Okay. You two can fly up to the top. A quick glance with your amazing eyesight, Ransom, will identify that Ordevi and Tassos are no longer here.
Lovely.
And Leisha is sort of working through her notes and things and stuff, and they went deeper in.
Of course they did. Threadless, I'm going to turn you back now.
Before you do, she still turns her head all the way, so she's looking backwards a few times. Then
It's
she's
fun,
like,
isn't it?
it is.
And you turn back.
Yep.
And holding this thing here does,
Let me describe
Yes.
this thing, if I may.
yes,
Imagine a 7 foot tall lizard folk, tail, classic scales, things like that. But it is also covered with patches of growth. In some place, fungus, in some place, leaves and things like that. And it is modeled in various places with, it has the scales, but you know how a strawberry looks, where it's got all the seeds embedded in it? It has that in many patches and places, like an irritation, like a rash that has grown up and has seeded into that thing. And when it kind of turns and looks at you and opens its mouth, you can see that there are vines, roots in its mouth.
I have I would like to do a miracle, like as we're talking to this,
Sure.
because I recognize that this is a horrible, corrupt sort of fertility thing, and particularly fertility in its book, though I haven't bought all the pieces. It has lots of things for controlling plant growth and stuff. And essentially what I would like to do is to render it infertile, like it can't spread. Whatever's going on doesn't spread.
Commit effort for the day.
Yep.
And when it does, literally cast seeds or spit seeds at you, those will pelt helplessly, like harmlessly off of you.
Mhm.
You can tell that otherwise these things might have tried to bore into your skin.
Yes.
Oh dear.
And it does that. It kind of and when it realizes that that's not working, it like starts to kind of hunker down, gets a real sort of primitive, animalistic thing, like it's trying to figure out what's going on.
I look at it the exact same way.
Okay.
Like I'm trying to figure it out too. And I'm like, you could question it, Ransom.
It also smells like rotted fruit.
Can you speak? Habla inglés?
And I think it will stop and it will sit down, kind of cross its legs, and looks like it's concentrating.
I don't think that it's going to speak with us. I will try in crocodile at it.
Okay. Yeah, I think you can run through a number of languages. And
What's it trying to do? Is it trying to blow itself up or something?
no,
No.
it seems to be reaching down deep into the roots of itself. And then you'll see a shift come over it. And it's sort of, it's real kind of just sitting there, swaying, more, just reaction. The environment stops and it will straighten up and look at you. And it says, and you can hear a sound like a cracking sound in it, like it's reforming whatever is in its mouth to have a vocal cords of some kind. It comes out like a dry drum when it speaks, and it says, "You must be Tassos's friends." I'm going to cut from that. Tassos, or Devi, there's this giant stone mill wheel, coming down at you at a high speed, kind of filling the hallway. What do you do?
I am going to use Corona of Fury,
Okay.
and basically shoot the sun's power at the stone.
Okay. Let's not do that as an attack roll. I think this is. Does that cost you effort?
That's a good question. It's a smite action, and I commit effort to the end of the scene.
Okay. Let's do an evasion save.
Sounds great.
Essentially, where normally you wouldn't kind of get a save for this, I think you can blast it apart to give yourself room and space to keep this thing from kind of crushing onto you.
Okay. My evasion is a 9.
Yeah.
Does that mean I need to roll an 11?
It means you need to roll a 10 or better.
10 or better. I rolled a 10.
10. So what does that look like when you bust up this giant millstone?
What does it look like? I think he's still sort of getting used to the idea that he can launch the power of the sun. And he sort of holds his hands out very tentatively, and it's just a blinding flash, and it causes it to explode.
Shards go flying, embed themselves in the wall, and there's kind of that stone dust and crumbling kind of washes over to where you are, Tassos. Look at that. That was no problem.
I'm so glad we came down here.
Yes. Do you think they have more of those?
I hope so. I'm just getting used to this.
Tassos, so to continue downwards?
Obviously.
Let me
People
ask-
only put death traps on things
Yeah.
that are worth putting death traps on.
Right.
Are you now acting with any more caution or care than you have before?
I don't really understand the question.
So that's a no, is what I'm taking that as.
No.
You will make
I'm
your
more
way,
excited, if anything.
make your way downwards. Let's have you make one more evasion save for the traps that exist here.
Wait, there are traps here?
Go on.
I did twice as good. It's a 2.
That's a 2. So you two make your way down further, and you will come to a space that opens up, and it has a weird, like, dimming, like it is when you get to it, it feels cold, it feels quiet, it feels like you've come down to like the container, the space that this thing was held in. And when you kind of step in there, there is a feeling of some kind of like effect, some kind of energy around you, and both of you lose 2 effort
Ow.
as you feel your very sort of divine strength drawn away into this chamber of nullification. It feels to you like this is where the main body of this thing was held, and this passage that goes up is maybe some kind of bleed off. Devi, let me have you make a intelligence check.
Okay. I'm quite good at those.
Yes, you are.
I just want to.
But if you roll like Tyler, like Patrick has, a 1 or a 2, then anything could go wrong.
I wanted to just see. I've got this thing called Purity of Brilliant Law, which allows me to defensively dispel a hostile magical effect on myself. Would that allow me to resist this, or should I just?
I think the effort is gone now, but if you wanted to do it, you could keep this effect from happening if you went further in.
Let me do the intelligence check.
Sure.
I rolled an 8.
Okay.
Is good enough. Barely.
One of the things you'll realize is this is a prison, and it's kind of a desperate holding thing here, and the 2 of you have made your way in here, past the breaches, past the defenses, into the heart of this thing, and you suspect that whatever wards and things, like whatever magical protections are here, has realized that it has been penetrated, and it probably will be moving to whatever is its last ditch work to dispel or deal with invaders. Now, you don't know what that is because you're just seeing this big black chamber that seems to absorb light, which Tassos quite likes, but also drains your very energy and essence, which Tassos doesn't like.
I fear, Tassos, that if we keep going, we will be we will face even more challenging peril that will continue to suck away our life force. I just felt like I needed to bring that up to make sure that you were okay with proceeding.
I am very glad that you brought these fears up with me. It's a very responsible thing for you to do. And I would like you to know that you don't have to worry about those fears anymore, as they just bleed out of you.
I mean, thanks. I'm not saying I'm afraid.
No, I know you're not.
So much as I just want us to be like, to have full knowledge about what we're getting ourselves into.
I know that's your whole gig, and I respect that. I wouldn't dream of standing in the way of you gaining your knowledge.
I am so grateful to you. The curiosity is overwhelming, and I just can't imagine anyone else by my side right now as I'm drawn further into this mystery.
Tassos, what do you do besides taking away Ordevi's fears?
Well, is there any particular like interesting feature or further inness to this area in front of us?
The room seems like some kind of holding pen. It does look like there are chains down at the bottom that are laying empty. What kind of chains would hold a giant evil corrupt elemental?
Well, our Devi does want to know things, and it'd be rude not to investigate, and there might be some grand secret or mechanism. Infinite font of power. A horrible, debilitating, infinite nightmare. Gate to another hell realm.
And?
Well, I'm not going to know unless we look at the chains.
So what, to climb down?
Yeah, carefully, obviously.
Okay, absolutely. We'll come back to you two descending into the energy-sucking tomb that chained the corrupt elemental in pure absolute darkness, though I assume Ordevi is glowing, and the darkness means nothing to Tassos. So there's no discomfort whatsoever as you two make your way down into this place. Threadless, ransom, it says that.
And I go, ugh, Tassos.
You know Tassos?
I have felt Tassos.
Ooh. Ooh.
We're sorry.
eh. You you say you have felt him. You felt his presence here.
No, he has reached out to me through my scions.
Ah. You are speaking through this being. You are not actually this being before us, are you?
It's difficult to say that this being is anything but a husk for me.
Who are you?
I am the dark heart of the woods.
You aren't here anymore, though, are you?
I am elsewhere.
And yet these creatures still serve your will here.
It's a little garden. A little plot I keep.
While you go to spread your seeds elsewhere.
While I go to deepen the darkness of the woods.
You do seem like you would get along well with Tassos.
He does exactly what I want. He feeds me.
I'll look over at Threadless, and I'm giving a look around here of our two friends have clearly strayed quite distant rather than, just looking and coming back. So that's a little worrying, but I'll look at Threadless. What more do we wish from this creature?
This is the dark heart of the woods. We will probably meet at some point.
You two you want different things than I do, different things than Tassos does.
That is certainly true.
Just sort of stop and go. Things happen.
And you can hear there's more movement like happening on that jungle side now.
All right, it's because we're probably going to do a little cleanup over here. It's just, I think it's probably going to start pretty soon.
Let's see how that goes.
All righty.
And I think you'll, like the two of you will see that that stairs on the jungle side is kind of roiling now and growing. And when it does that, you will see down below at the base of your stairs, where there's a jungle, like as soon as that starts like going kind of wild, you'll see some like a figure with some people or things with it, like start moving like away. Like it's clearly seen that movement, somebody in the actual ground level jungle, and is like, fuck, I'm getting out of here. And it starts moving away.
I'm gonna see, can I get a look at him?
You will see a guy who is running along kind of not too fast. He has a lot of bits and pieces from the various armor that you guys have found along the route up here that he has strapped to himself in a very makeshift way. And there were a couple of very bad wood elemental automatons running behind him. They bear a certain resemblance to the rattan things that you saw before, but different.
Okay. I suppose we should make a move to how should we say, offer him shelter then?
Yes, that's probably a good idea. And I'm gonna look over at this thing that's here with us.
Let's see here. It's just a husk. I mean, I think I'm like immune to anything from it, except that, of course, it's.
You seem to have rendered it with the negating of its fertility. It can't do any of its tricks.
Right.
It can't grow or expand or do anything like that.
I still don't want to put our back to it.
Well, then I guess I'll step back and hit it with a fire arrow.
Okay. Yeah, you can and ignite it. We'll come back to the verdant growth coming your way, and possibly rescuing this guy down here. Tassos or Devi,
Hi.
make your way down to the bottom of this place, bottom of this chamber, and there are these chains. They're huge, and they are 6 points around here. The chains themselves, each link is like the size of 2 hands put together. They seem to be made of crystal, and they have inscribed etchings on each of them, like sigils and signs and things like that. And or Devi, a look at them will reveal to you that each one has a different inscription or invocation or something of that sort on them.
I immediately start copying down the things that I see. Yes. And have already established a elaborate annotation system, so I know which link on the chain it is from.
Says, or Debbie begins to pore over these chains.
That's good, and I'm glad he's getting the puzzle he was looking for, but I don't actually need to read the inscriptions to know what they say. That's the only thing that inscriptions and chains like this could say are, please save us, protect us from the thing we're most afraid of. And I want to summon a vision of what that fear is. What fear is inscribed in these chains? What are they meant to hold? Can you do a miracle for that?
Yeah. Let's have you spend effort for the day. Oh, you're down to 1 effort, are you?
Yeah, I mean, I figured the horrible trap was probably just going to suck out more of it anyway, so I might as well use it for something useful.
I think that makes perfect sense here. And I think you will see a vision of 6 theocratic engineers. They are holding this black, violent storm in place. And there are others that are essentially finishing these chains and throwing them up like into the storm, where they're caught up onto the storm. And you see when the chain is thrown into that storm that it locks the storm down, but the theocratic engineer who is standing there at that link is just blown up, just explodes. And you can smell the delicious long-term fear as each theocratic engineer in turn realizes that it's about to be his time to be evaporated to cause this thing to be held.
Tassos is just staring, and their voices in awe as they say, Devi, look how amazingly terrible it was.
Pretty terrible. Tassos, do you have any sense of where this storm is now? It's probably causing this level of fear, if not more, somewhere in the world.
Couldn't be the one trapped in that sphere. That little globe couldn't hold something like this. No, but I'd know it if I saw it again.
I'm going to use the unveiled truth and
Mhm.
commit effort and get an answer to any question. And I'm going to ask, where is this storm now?
Storm has taken its avatars and it crests across the wave, and its fleet of pirates are sailing across the waters, destroying any and all that they come upon.
Ruh-roh, Raggy.
Tassos, I don't mean to alarm you.
Oh no, please do.
I know nothing makes you terribly afraid, but I know that we have now some emotional investment in our little island of Arshala, is what I'm going to call it right now, because I don't remember the exact name.
Yes,
And I
the
worry
cats
that,
live there.
I'm sorry?
Yes, the cats live there.
Right. And all of my students, and we worked so hard to make that. I mean, just think back to Ransom's negotiations with the alligators or the crocodiles. And I just feel like maybe the storm has now become embodied as some terrible, terrible pirates. And I wonder if maybe our little island is on its list of places.
Oh. I like our island. The cats have assured me that water in any form, but especially rain, is anathema, to be avoided at all costs.
So I feel like my curiosity has been satisfied, and maybe it's time to emerge. What do you
both
think?
of you make a hardiness save for me?
Sure.
Really? Together we rolled a 12.
Together you rolled a 12. Could
My
each of
hardiness
you
save is a 9, and I got an 8.
could each of you lose another effort?
I mean, do we have a choice about it? Because I
No.
choose no.
You choose no. And I think when you feel that like last little tap out, like draw out the last of your energy, Tassos, you'll feel a vibration run through the room as
We
the temple starts to shake.
should go tell Ransom about the pirates. Ransom will fix pirates.
Let's take our first break here, and then we'll have the temple collapse on the two of you after we check in with Ransom and Threadless.
Yay! Wait, what?
So when this green wave starts moving its way towards you, what are you doing, Threadless? Muted.
Interesting. I think that the thing that I can do that would be most effective is actually to make like essentially, gosh, I wonder, can I do a thing where I make an artifice that essentially eats all of this power? Like as all of this stuff is coming at us, it's just like it's a big wood chipper.
And not necessarily the power, but I think you could try and like tell me what you have gift wise that you think would work for this.
Okay, so I have 10,000 tools. My gifts are augmented. Instead of requiring full round to make a portable mundane object, it doesn't take me long at all. My daily labor on projects is worth 1,000 laborers per level. So I am currently at 4,000 laborers.
per day, right? Though.
Per day, but that means also for every hour. There's 4,000 going. Yes, but yes, it doesn't. I mean, essentially, it is saying that it doesn't take me long to make a thing if it's a mundane thing. The gift is, and then if it's but it can be a permanent thing. So I'm just saying that that's a mundane. I'm not saying this is going to be the end all be all, but just give you a sense of how much I can do. Faultless
Yeah.
repair. I can fix anything with available materials and tools. I can up to a 10 by 10 by 10 foot cube per level of objects or constructions can be made like new, provided it's not destroyed. Every form of rot, decay, damage, and corruption is fixed.
Interesting.
So, and then if repairing magical or enchanted things, effort is committed for the scene with each use of the gift. So that can be used and brought to it. And
I think if the simplest thing is that we can say that if you expend effort right now, you can create some device that will, you can choose to delay it. You can choose to reduce its effect, or you can choose to like turn it aside so it has to come in a different direction. Does that seem fair?
ooh, yeah, I think the first device that I'll make is a sort of turning it back, because then I can do the defense game where I build like this whole path it has to go through that we're essentially depowering it during that thing.
Okay.
So I'm going to do
so
the
tell-
tower defense mode.
So tell me what that looks like. What do we see happen here?
So I'm trying to think of what is the easiest way to do this. I mean, plant life still has to keep its integrity, that fertility and stuff like that. So I think that this essentially starts with a set of probably furnace, like a burner of some sort.
Okay.
And essentially it's just being fed by what comes in. So it's a flame, and as long as they're coming up, it's burning bright. And then there's like, so I can make a 10 by 10 by 10 meter cube of stuff. I can also have like coal that's just sitting there to keep it burning too, if they advance. But I could just set these burners going that are particularly high heat.
Okay.
And sort of set that so that I kind of make a border and a boundary that they have to go around and along. And that's just, I'm just working at the physical integrity to start with.
Yeah. So we see you, a combination of that sort of magical and mundane work to get that put up and begin to turn this tide. It's cutting away at the roots. When it tries to come in, the burner is burning into that and sort of forcing it in different directions. And you can see that these are the vines and stuff are that kind of black green, like that it's sort of filling it with that substance, that ichor, as it kind of moves around.
Fire doesn't care.
Fire doesn't care. Rust never sleeps. Fire doesn't care. Ransom, what are you doing?
Yeah, I think I see Threadless preparing us with defenses, and that probably and this isn't like creatures coming. This is just the jungle itself encroaching at us, right?
Particularly not all of the jungle. It's very clearly coming from that top of the temple and the roots and the vegetation that are on that temple. The rest of the jungle doesn't seem to be corrupted in the same way. And it's clearly expending a lot of energy to move, to come towards you off from that spot.
Okay. So the question is, can we exhaust it with defense, or do we need to strike at something there? I think I'm willing to go off the idea of maybe exhausting it, since that's what Threadless is setting up. Maybe we can work in tandem there. So if you're cutting down at roots, I think I'm going to step out and I'm going to expend for a miracle. And I'm going to do one of those create a zone of danger
Hmm.
as I step out and begin whistling up into the skies. And we hear this flutter as all of the night birds come down and begin clawing away at the vine, ripping leaves and ripping pieces of it.
Yeah, pulling at it, forcing it to regrow in those areas. In that, I think that will definitely slow it down. I think that's the point at which you hear the rumbling from the stones of the storm tower, of the storm side of the pyramid. Like,
which is the one we're on, right?
Yeah, like it starts to shake, like it starts to vibrate, and Threadless, I think
I yelled to
real,
Ransom to get Legia.
Yeah.
But
Threadless, you'll feel like there's something being activated to essentially collapse this part of the temple. We'll come back to you in just 1 second. Tassos or Devi. We get that, that camera shake there. There, exactly. Thank you. What do you want to do? You're at the bottom of this pit, very large. You've got at least 3 or 4 flights that you came down, and you definitely heard some kind of stone fall at the top when you came down here the first time. What do you want to do?
I think as we get to the top of that pit that we had climbed down into, the final one, Tassos will melt and flow and become a very large, sort of deep black starfield panther, and look down at Ordevi as he's climbing up and say, "We should probably run." Sort of offers a shoulder as if, like, if you want to ride, like, that's cool, or we can just run.
Or Devi?
I climb up and apologize.
It's okay if you just a little to the left. I think is there something like in your back pocket? It's very sharp. If you can move that.
I have a bony bottom, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't want this. I didn't want to come to this. But
deep sigh, Panther Tassos will start springing their way up through the passage.
I'm sorry.
Please stop asking. It's very awkward now.
Tassos, let's have you make an evasion check. Like an evasion save. I think that's probably better than your dexterity save. Your dexterity check, right?
It is actually.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm calling on all of the legendary reflexes and dexterity of cats, even though this doesn't actually technically make me any better, just spiritually better. Can you use facts on saves or just on checks?
Just on checks.
Okay. That's a 7.
That enough?
No.
Okay, but this is the third ridiculous failure. At this point, you could almost hear a from Threadless, like, kind of come through, and and she'll give you a little extra boost.
Okay.
So why don't you use that 13? I assume that will make it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That will.
Yeah.
Which means that as this you're racing ahead of this thing as these stone blocks begin to fall, desperately taking those turns, leaping over the rubble as this thing begins to collapse in a kind of organized way, like it's clearly been designed to fall apart in this way. and you'll hit that ramp up to the top. And or Debbie, you're hanging on the back, and you can see the entryway that you came in. That you first came down that ramp, that downward thing. There's a giant stone slab in the way that fell when you activated that first trap.
Huh.
I'm going to use my last bit of effort to try and blow it up again with the power of the sun.
Okay. I think we'll either do this as a hardiness save or a dexterity check. If you have a fact that fits with your invocation of powerful words, you can use that for a bonus.
Oh God, no. Okay. So I have not internalized the rules. My dexterity check says 8. My hardiness. Did you say hardiness or evasion?
Hardiness. So in both cases, you want to roll above those numbers.
Okay, so I'll do a dexterity check. Because that my dexterity check is an 8. So I need to roll.
Oh, that's great.
All right. And then as far as facts are concerned, I wonder if my experience observing the riot or law enforcement practices in the city. That's as good as I'm going to do.
Yeah, no, I that seems a little reachy.
Yeah.
To me there, but let's have you roll.
All right. I rolled a 5.
You rolled a 5.
I guess the power of the sun can bounce off of things sometimes.
I think there is that bit where you fire off that energy and you will blow out that door, but you'll feel like the magical energies of this place resonate. Like clearly there's still more defenses, and it will hit both of you. What do you lose, Ordevi? Is it a finger? Is it your notes? Is it something else you value? What do you lose here?
Oh, I think far more got burned up than I had fully intended. And so, yeah, I like the idea of not just my notes from downstairs, but like my notebook that I've been sort of keeping throughout this whole journey. Just
goes up.
Yeah.
Tassos.
I would have rather have lost a finger.
Yes. Tassos, tell me what the mark looks like that this thing puts on you.
I think because I was sort of thinking about like the sun flashing and night blindness, so I think there's just this like stark white scarring across his eyes and eye socket and nose there.
Absolutely. And when you change form, what of that stays? What's the sign that seems to be permanently written on your stuff?
I think it's that scarring is always visible across there.
You
The
can move it
eyes are always
around. You can do
pale.
some things, but there's something like that, some echo of that is going to remain. Does that seem fair?
Yeah.
And there'll be an interesting question about how you deal with having some permanency.
Yeah.
Ransom, Threadless, you see as the temple vibrates and you can feel things giving way. Ransom, you grab Legia, I assume.
Yeah.
Threadless, you make sure your machine is in a position where this isn't going to take it out, and then you'll see this explosion, and Ordevi and Tassos are flung out on sunfire and shattering magical wards.
And hissing.
Pardon?
Yowling and hissing.
Yes, yeah, because right now Tassos looks like a giant, scar-eyed Black Panther. What do you do, Threadless? Because this place is still collapsing.
Yeah, so I do have that repair move. And so I can at least keep the wall up, I bet.
Okay.
You know, like essentially I start from like the side corner where I am that we're standing on, and then I kind of go up and down the wall and like rebuild that wall. I'll get in there and rebuild the temple when I have the time,
Okay.
but that's after this.
But I imagine that there's almost the Hobbit kind of thing of you keeping things up while they're running and then letting a little bit fall behind them. You know, as they run up the falling stones kind of thing. And the four of you can kind of arrive there at the base of this temple. Or Devi Tassos, you'll see this wave of green, of black green vegetation that's trying to get at you, but seems to be expending its energy on these burning machines and these flocks of birds. And it seems to be like pulling back now, pulling back away. And you'll see just this one section of the pyramid collapse, except for the sort of step portion that Threadless has repaired, as the four of you return back together, along with a safely rendered Legia. Captain?
Devi did that.
Tassos, a friend of yours, seemed to want to pay a visit. We've been holding him back, though.
Oh, we've been busy. There were architectural issues.
So, hey, Dark Heart of the Forest says hi.
That sound familiar?
Certainly, that's the thing that you reached out to and touched through your wards.
Says that you want the same things it wants, or at least you do the things he wants done. I don't know, something like that. He was trying to be ominous.
He was, yes, quite pompous about it.
Felt them as we came around the structure.
He said he had
Here?
felt you.
And?
That's it. He just said, hey.
Yeah, he's not here. He apparently is off doing his evil deeds elsewhere. But this is his garden. As you can see, it's a little overgrown.
I don't know. The pruning seems to be going well.
We also encountered some plant lizards.
Oh. Were they nice?
They were husks.
Ah, sounds awful.
He spoke through them.
Oh.
Or Devi, what's your reaction when you look down and realize that your notes are gone?
I think for once in his life, Ordevi is lost for words. And I feel like it might be starting to get daytime now. So inevitably, Evedro's coming out, and Evedro is not as kind and as starting to throw a little bit of a tantrum about this disaster, and how now this knowledge is lost to the world. He's not blaming anyone.
Is he saying this out loud?
Oh yeah. It's almost, it's sort of a quietly growing tantrum that's happening out loud. And again, he's not blaming anyone, but you can just tell he wants to point the finger at Tassos, even though he knows it probably had nothing to do with, or it had much to do with himself as it had to do with them.
So Threadless will ask you, but don't you remember what you wrote down?
I mean, I do, but I feel like if I had just known these lizard people were coming, that sounds pretty interesting. I would have just waited for them. Curiosity just got the best of me.
You should work on prophecy. Maybe that would be good for you, so you know where to be for the most interesting thing in the next hour.
There's always
If
something.
we had waited, then we wouldn't know that the pirate storm was coming to wipe our island clean.
That's true. That's true.
I beg your pardon?
They've stuck pretty far south up to now, haven't they?
No, they can smell us. They know.
Our island?
The storm that was held in what used to be the pyramid quarter escaped. It is enormous, primordial. It has chosen ships and is coming for us. Ours.
Really?
It's now taking the form of pirates.
Giant pirates, I imagine.
They were. We heard about them. She looks very confused by this whole conversation. The Storm Soul Pirates? Yes? Down in the south? You said they're coming for us?
Our island.
Well, we're speculating about where they're going, but I suspect.
Oh, speculation. All right. So we've got something a little more like on the map right now. Why don't we work on that? And then we'll worry about those pirates.
I worry that they might know that we squished their home.
I think this is their prison, right?
I guess so. Maybe they'll be happy.
Well, now that we're all here together, though, it may be a good idea for us to strike at the heart of this little problem we have going on.
It doesn't seem to be going anywhere. The bigger danger is the ocean side.
You think?
We are unique, certainly, but we are not alone. The Blood Queen, if nothing else, proves that. There are other things out there that would come and claim these temples, and she's proven that she will let anyone powerful enough through. That storm side was breached, something destructive and unstoppable was let out on the world. What will happen? Who will come for the ocean side?
Yes, we should take it for ourselves.
Wow. Lots of leaps here. This is what I'm hearing. And she kind of looks at Evedro and she goes, don't you have some classic, matrix arguments that you work through to come to what is the, she sort of stops. I heard you mention matrix arguments before. It's like how you decide what the next course of action is, right?
Yeah, sure. No.
And there's supposed to be some facts in there?
Well, I mean, what are facts really? But
don't. She's like,
and of course, I don't have my notebook, which was filled with useful facts. So thanks for bringing that up again. But and he starts to draw in the ground to kind of draw out these matrix diagrams that apparently help us make decisions. I'm no longer listening to the conversation. I am just drawing diagrams in the ground.
The omens are all very clear.
You will see the like foliage verdant wave like crest and then clearly fall back and kind of collapse on itself. And there's just that kind of smoldering pile of burnt vegetation. Like clearly it has exhausted itself trying to get at you at this distance and has stopped, has run out of steam.
Excellent. I guess then I will probably carefully move forward and keep on cleaning out as much of the corruption as the burners can. I guess I will let them pick out what next cockamamie goal they want and try to keep the damage to a minimum.
It is worth considering that here in this place of the storm, we did find a remaining relic. That may also be the case in this verdant death that we have at the moment, at least, put at the disadvantage. It may make sense for us to try now, while we have that advantage, to at least investigate there and then turn our sights to the door of the city. Yes.
There's a figure who's standing maybe 40, 50 feet away from all of you, dressed in that kind of makeshift armor.
Oh yes, I forgot all about you. Hello.
Wizards? Sorcerers?
Or
This someone I should eat.
No. We are travelers.
Ah,
And you are?
I am a cartographer, she says.
seems like a very dangerous place to be.
It's not easy to get out.
But a truly admirable profession. I'm very fond of cartographers.
Do you have any, have you been mapping the area?
Yes, there's
Can I-
that's
Can I see those maps?
don't carry them on me. I carry my notes on me. The maps are at my encampment.
I'd like to see the notes.
You will forgive me, but if you were to run into a stranger and they asked you for your notes, would you just hand them to them?
If the stranger was me, yes.
He is very good with notes.
Well, how about we exchange notes?
Oh.
That's a rather touchy subject, I'm afraid.
Okay.
What brings you to this area? Were you commissioned to map the area?
I was brought along on what I thought was an exploration of a dangerous place, which is the truth. It is, in fact, what it is. And then I was abandoned.
Oh, that's very unfortunate. When we leave, would you like to accompany us?
If you have a way out, yes, that would be
Oh, we always have a way out.
appreciated.
How long have you been trapped here?
I'm guessing 3 years.
Oh. must have been terrified that you would never get out.
Very much so. Convinced of it.
Did it invade your sleep? Did you have nightmares about it?
I did for a while, but then that just became tiresome.
Exactly. She sort of stops and says, "Who did you come here with? Empire of the Hours?"
No, I am ashamed to say I came with a group of adventurers and giants.
Are they the ones that took the Storm Soul?
They are the ones that broke that seal.
Excellent. You may
And-
know something that will be useful then, since we're going to have to fight them.
Oh, there was a later group that broke the other seal,
Ooh,
but
tell us about them.
they were all killed except for the one that walked away.
I think we know who that is.
Do we?
I'm guessing it's our hunger guy, wasn't it?
No, the one that you were talking through shells to. Hunger Guy was a product of the jungle
His
seed going out
seeds.
in the world.
Gotcha.
She sort of steps and goes, "Sorry, we probably sound a little crazy, but we've run into some of the things that happened afterwards."
You've collapsed one of the temples and you have burned away the unpleasant one.
we're just getting
I suppose I should thank you, and since that frees some of the danger, the beasts on the jungle side walk out at night hunting for living things.
Yes, you should.
One way to express your gratitude is maybe to share your notes with us. But I also wonder, how have you protected yourself these 3 years from the beasts?
A certain amount of alchemy, a certain amount of wood lore, learning the pathways of the beasts here. The neither of the threats or the big monsters moved far past their territories. They have the limits. So I've learned to stay away from those places.
You're a very resourceful person.
And often terrified, but very resourceful.
Well, Tassos keeps getting what they want. Why can't I get what I want?
She sort of steps and goes, "Oh, we will take you back with us. If you want, you can come back and teach at our school since you're a cartographer. That's a good skill."
Or travel on our ship and see new places.
Sorry, this is overwhelming. I've only spoken with these things, and you can see he's got these elementals, and and she's clearly like drawing faces on them.
Oh, Wilson. You're muted, Patrick.
If you feel any more at ease, I have a screaming nightmare temple to a portal to hell if you would like to rest there.
It's not necessary. There's perfectly comfortable accommodations elsewhere as well.
Yeah.
Don't try and drive her off.
I think I must misunderstand some of your idiom, because it sounded like you were inviting me into some sort of hell chamber of terrors.
He likes to be frightened.
I'm sure we will come to a full, deep, and horrifying understanding of all the meanings.
Suddenly, handing over those notes doesn't seem so bad.
No, it's very, very here. She'll reach into her pack and she will pull what is clearly wood pulp made from local ingredients,
Wow.
local ink, that kind of thing.
Oh my gosh.
Hand that over to you.
So, because we are a bit pressed,
Mhm. Yes, yes.
Threadless, do we think it is a good idea for us to check out this the side of with the jungle to make sure that at least it is as inactive as possible?
I would like to go in there because at one time it was a prison for this thing. So it will tell us something about how it was contained previous. We can learn from that, just as I would like to go back into the storm thing and understand how it was being held. Then I can rebuild or build a better prison for these things. If we aren't able to destroy them, then at least we can imprison them again. I would also hope that this would give me some sense of how we might stabilize these doors on the other two elements somewhat.
You did get one thing wrong in there. It didn't used to be a prison, and still is a prison. It's just missing a prisoner, and
That's
the
right.
other one was any indication, they seem to be missing their prisoners rather emphatically.
Mhm. Yes, yes. I don't think I had that wrong.
As in they are actively trying to catch anyone who goes in?
It is a siphon, a whirlpool, a trap.
That's what
A
it would have
web.
to be for those things, right? It's not like they wandered in, doo-doo-doo-doo, and got caught. I mean, no one would be that stupid, right? So clearly,
No, no one would be. I mean, who would willingly
exactly.
go in?
I mean, it has all the accoutrements of a temple meant to contain something. So yeah, that would be goofy. I'm sure they were dragged in there. So.
About your vast experience and wisdom, please lead on.
Anyway, it will give us some sense of how these things were bound previously. We will have to up the ante and also clearly hide them better if we end up having to imprison them rather than destroy them.
All right, first things first, then we need to make sure that the jungle side is neutralized. And I think it is ill-advised for us to split up again. How about the four of us move on to the entryway and handle it as quickly as possible? Madam Laja, would you be so kind as to wait here? I think it will be safe.
Yes, I can give you some things to help you.
Oh, that would be lovely.
I have some herbals, things I have produced that keep down the foliage when I go up and explore.
You are just a hidden treasure, aren't you? Oh my goodness.
She kind of reaches in like a gourd there and she says, "Who wants the defoliant?"
I'll take it. Can you tell me how you make it?
Certainly later. There are some fruits that grow up in the cavern there that are useful for it.
Excellent.
But I don't know what's going on up there right now with all the burning and stuff. So if you don't mind, I will wait here.
All right.
I'm a little nervous.
Understand.
She turns to you, Tassus, not quite terrified, but I am nervous.
Understandable. Ransom is also feeling a great deal of fear. That's why Devi and I are accompanying him.
Let's call it trepidation.
They all feel safer when we're around.
That is true. All right then, troops.
I think Ransom and I exchange a glance.
All right, forward.
So let's go through. So these stairs are kind of overgrown. There's still some of these lizard things, so you can tell once daylight comes, they actually clearly that sends them into a certain kind of torpor. What are each of you doing to clear things or make a path or exhaust these things further to allow you to pass up unimpeded? let's start with Ransom. What do you want to bring to bear here?
I think that we see me kind of out, and I have these spurs that grow out from my arm, and I'm going to be the one kind of clearing our path through.
Okay. Yeah. And when you kind of cut through, you'll see the steps, like, you know how, I mean, these are very big old things, and the plants, though, you would expect them to have dug in and like broken up the material of that, but they haven't. Like, actually, once you start kind of pushing, like, clearly the stones itself won't let the roots kind of dig in, so they've had to like build the vine system out along the side so you can cut through a path along that way. Tassos, what are you doing? What form are you using?
I think Tassos is changing into a Starfield black mountain goat the size of a bear, basically, and with much sharper teeth and more teeth than a mountain goat should really be having. They're sort of working with Ransom and chewing through the like bigger, tougher, more barkier vegetation to get it to a point where Ransom can slice through bits and throw it down.
And you're able to get that ichor in your mouth and just spit it out. I mean, you're immune to that kind of thing, so you can just kind of make sure that none of that like gets in your system, and chaw your way along here. Or Devi, what are you doing?
I think I'm following along. I don't know that I've got much to offer in terms of cutting down plants, but I do want to, I'm lit up to try and create some light for these folks as they are doing the cutting. And
yeah, and these things react very badly to your sunlight.
Oh, okay. Oh, good. Then that's what I'm doing. Then I'm just being my sunny self.
Shine on, you crazy diamond.
Yes. I mean, is the wave like a being that I can sort of latch onto or understand? I'm wondering if I can use my gift to disclose the flaw.
Yeah, I think that if you can spot the points at which, like, it's had to grow out clearly, like must have done this over just a great period of time, had to draw the vegetation up from the ground below outside of the temple to come up to then have it grow on the temple, because the vegetation doesn't actually grow naturally on the temple. Like, it resists it. So it had to grow up onto it. And that means that there are places where it connects, like when you've got ivy on a side of a house, cutting those roots down at the bottom will cause it issues. And I think you can spot like where the branch clusters are of these with that.
And I, of course, point those out to my brethren.
And Threadless?
I think once Evedro points out the branch clusters and I know more what I'm looking for, I can actually set this machine up to work even more efficiently on these. And essentially we will start by slicing them all out at that bottom and then kind of moving up towards the entrance, if that makes any sense. Yeah,
absolutely.
It becomes more like a slow mowing process that occurs during the middle of the night with Evedro as our source of strange light.
You know that good smell that you get when you mow the lawn?
It's not that, is it?
It's not that. It's not that at all. It's almost like immediately it smells like compost and mulch and stuff that's been sitting out in the sun at the bottom corners of things. And once you kind of cut away the vegetation and stuff, you will see where there are some of these lizard folk, they'll actually collapse. They're still kind of connected up and they will fall apart. By the time you get up to the top and you're kind of in that that entryway, you can see the vegetation and fruit and stuff up here is already starting to rot. It's already starting to give way. But the thing that'll strike you as you move up and look inside Ransom is, as you move to the entryway of this place and look inside, you'll see another one of those pillars. And when you kind of step in over the threshold, it will open up. And that, again, like the other place, this thing will rise up and you will see this mechanism with another one of those spheres.
Shall I take it the same as before?
Yes, but what you see is just roiling green in that, like kind of pulsing and roiling, and maybe foliage, maybe roots, but it kind of pulses and changes in there. Let's take 5 for a bio, and then we'll move to the last part of this. So yeah, you can see that another one of these spheres.
Yeah, I will look to the others. I can secret it away and we could study it later. Perhaps somewhere safer. Oink!
And it will vanish in. I will say this time when you do that, there is a moment when you feel the sheer power of these relics. Like there's almost kind of a little bit of a bump there when you do that.
It may not be wise for me to hold on to these for terribly long. We should get them back home as soon as possible.
We'll examine the pillar to see if there's anything that gives me a sense of what is a good place to store these things, since clearly the pillar held them and then essentially opened up for our divine power. So trying to get a sense of what's going on here.
I think that you can probably, with your artificer thing, begin to at least get the start of what might be a long-term project. Like you can get what the basics are of this. Does that seem like a fair way to consider it?
Yeah, it does. It does indeed. And of course, I could always rebuild the storm side of the dungeon to really, or the pyramid, to really understand how this place works. Because in that, no better way than hands-on, right?
Yes.
Or Devi, do you, with us having taken both of these things, do you feel that perhaps some of this corruption will not be vomited forth as it has been up until now?
Before our experience on the storm side, I would have said that this was tantamount to removing a key from a lock. But now I fear that these mechanisms are far more arcane and complex than I first understood. And I do not know.
We never, when we were on the storm side, we'd seen it was all blasted and everything, but we never actually saw an external example of that power happening.
No, it seems to have gone completely.
And that was the same as when so this side seemed to still have stuff going on. However, Tassos, what did you call him? Spirit of the forest, mentioned that he had kept this place as his own little patch of garden. Do you think it might be similar to how we have made the island into our own little patch?
Maybe. I mean, he spit a bunch of seeds out, right? Because he's got connection to everything has the seeds too, like the kids. I assume that's how he knew about Tassos. Is that correct?
And certainly Tassos, what you remember is that you kind of were able to feel his energy and know that there were spots around, like feel that.
Yeah, I got that brief like feeling of like a web of them all over the place.
And I think if you concentrate on this area, you can find like literally where the patch is on the ground, where the seeds that it planted are.
Might be a good place, Threadless, to pour our gift from our alchemist friend.
The roots run deep through the veins of this world, from here to there to everywhere. I don't know if this spot is more important, but it is the first, so.
Clamber down, go and look at that spot. You will see what looks to be like a garden of skeletons. Likely the bodies of the rest of the expedition that broke this open. And if you, with having cut away this and Tassos having marked the boundaries of it, you can pour that defoliant on it and it will writhe and kind of crackle. I think you will feel the ghosts, the spirits, the souls of those people like being set free.
Good. Well, we can't know, apparently, whether taking these spheres does anything to cease the corruption, but that seems a positive step. Perhaps it has made this place somewhere less dangerous to have eliminated his influence. We have destroyed several of the guardians that were here. The prison will be open, but Threadless, I believe you are wanting to investigate that to some degree to see how you could engineer something else or repair it.
Certainly, it has responded very strongly to you. It's probably hoping that you are going to come and open it and be an expedition so it can get out.
The seaside.
Yeah. So, for all practical purposes, these dangers are good. It slows down the weaker expeditions. The guardians are not a problem, and they're going to come back no matter whether we want them to or not, for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe the storm one won't, unless you let me rebuild everything. But let me look at these doors. Let me look at how these things are powered and see if there is something that I can do that will make their seal stronger for the meantime. At least alert us if someone starts to finagle with them.
You will, looking in here, much like that Tassos and Nordevi can confirm, there are ramps going down and there are ramps going up.
What is up?
Head up that way?
Yeah, I mean, we know that there's traps, and I understand the mechanisms and stuff, so I will look for those.
Is this a new scene, Lowell?
Yes.
So I will look for those.
Okay. I think we have your artificer. So there are basic mechanical traps.
Mm-hmm.
You can see that there are a great deal of wardings, which would be active if that sphere was still in place.
Sphere was in there, yes.
Like this is clearly blocked off from the prisoner area.
Mm-hmm.
And you will walk upwards. And after a couple of ramps, you'll realize that you're actually, like, you know how tall the pyramid is.
Mm-hmm.
You're past where that is.
Ooh, cooler than cool.
It's bigger on the inside.
And
Clearly
then
going up was the way to go.
Tassos, you will feel a crackle, a very familiar crackle.
Night Road?
Oh, don't do whatever you're. Oh, uh-oh.
And you will see that the ramp ends in a doorway that is flickering, that is very clearly a portal.
Oh.
Like what that goddess was being fed into?
Maybe, maybe not. It doesn't feel like the Night Road exactly, because you guys have been around that. Night Road feels like a break, like it's a break to another place that has ruptured, like a Tassos, like a boil in reality, whereas this feels like a construct.
So go somewhere. So should we go there?
I only found out about the well by falling through it.
I asked the question, where does this go?
It goes to a divine theocratic control room on the God plane.
Hasn't the God plane been like completely sacked?
Well, I mean, there's a fairly easy way to find out.
Hmm.
I have to admit, Ransom, I'm a little curious.
Far be it for me to shy from discovering something new.
It's just that they were engineers. I
Well,
might learn something.
I am always up for discovering new things. However, we can't do that without letting our two friends know, because we cannot be assured that we will come back.
Oh, or that time will move the same. You're right. Well, we can ask them if they want to come, but it is a God plane, so it might be hard on them.
Well, yes, but they are both curious, one a cartographer. We should give them the option.
All right. I'll let you speak to them since they both like you.
I smile, because everybody likes me. And so I'll
Isn't
go
wearing a shirt.
So yeah, I will go and get them, tell them that I think it's safe for you to come over. We have something to tell you about and a choice that you should make. And I will explain what we've discovered as we're getting there. They'll get back to all of us kind of down from this a bit. I can attempt to protect you in various ways. We could leave you here, but I cannot assure you of the safety for us or for you going through.
I think the woman, her name is Crick, and she will say, I just want to get out of here. The thought of being abandoned, left here by myself, is terrifying.
You are certainly welcome to come with us.
And Legia will say, it's like the thing at the school
Possibly,
that Tassos sleeps by.
I think it's less dark.
This isn't like a terrordrome or something, right?
I hope not. I'll take her hand. I'll take her hand. I could keep you in stasis, but aren't
No,
you a
no,
little
no,
curious?
no, no. I want to see.
So do I. I'll watch out for you. Don't worry.
Threadless, you ready to go?
Oh, yeah.
Tassos, are you prepared?
Surely just touching the frame can't be dangerous, right?
Right. Evedro, of course, I don't even need to ask that. You will be going.
Well, I think Avedra's having this moment of like, I feel like this just happened to me. We were all, where Tassos and I were sort of overtaken by this sense of curiosity and drawn into a place. And it all then came crashing down quite literally on us. And now I'm watching my friends get sort of entranced by the mystery of what's beyond the door. And even I'm like, well, I don't know. I feel like is it right for us to abandon our duties here on this plane? Do we not feel some sense of obligation for the chaos that we have caused or that we have witnessed?
I tried to talk you all into the entirely reasonable path of breaking open the ocean side and struggling with an unstoppable oceanic deity.
I mean, the hope, Divi, is that we will go and come back. If, as you say, it is a control room, then we should have the chance to get back out, right?
I mean, technically, Tassos and I did get back out of the prison that we found ourselves in, but not before causing an immense amount of havoc.
This is a maintenance hatch, see? All the wards there were to keep the prisoner from coming up into here. Theocratic engineers up there.
Well, far be it for me to keep us from satisfying our curiosity, from building our knowledge. But I just feel a little burned on the last time I tried to do that. So let's go. And Crick, prepare for a cartographic challenge, the likes of which you have never seen.
It's just going to be like a lunchroom.
I will keep close to the two of them as we go in. So just in case it's something that's horribly dangerous to them, I can extend a protection or shunt them away somewhere safer.
And I think we see you step through and there will be that shift, that transition, and it will open up into a large space. And it's massive. It's a massive area, but enclosed, like you're clearly in a massive chamber, and there are machines, weapons, doorways. My best descriptor for this, as we kind of get one quick panorama vision of this, is that this is very much sort of Kirby drew this, sort of the Eternals kind of look at the items, the gear, the things that are there, objects, statues, all of that. And I think we get a glance around at that, and that is where we end this arc.
Season 1 comes to a close.
As you enter into a
My heaven. Oh,
armory of some kind. Sound good?
Sure.
I will let each of you, in the time between now and January, come up with some weapon or device or transport or whatever that you will find here. This is how we're going to do treasure. So each of
Treasure.
you gets to come up with some theocratic engineered item that you can use. Sound good?
Mhm.
That's where we're going to stop. Shall we do a quick stars? And what we'll probably do is we'll check in on kind of wishes before we go. We'll do a check-in in December about what expectations are for the next campaign and then that kind of thing. But let's do stars. Patrick, I love you always pushing the buttons and pushing forward on things, even though as a GM I'm going like I'm gasping. I still appreciate it. I love you rolling with the bad stuff and taking it. The Dan or Evedra or Devi swap there was brilliant. I thought that was great. Ransom, I love your problem solving today and kind of leading the focus here. I thought that was great. And Threadless going, oh no, I don't care, Lil. You've got an obstacle that's going to overwhelm us. No, I'll just build something to mulch it. Thank you. I kind of dig those things. So those are my quick off the top of my head stars. Patrick, stars.
I love the whole feel of this temple. Like, it feels truly overwhelming and sort of epic above us sort of thing, even with the power base that we've established for our characters. It felt bigger than in a nice way. I like the ideas of these like primordial divine elemental forces that are out there. And I like the different paths of like what could happen from this place. Dan, I just love playing Irresponsibility Chicken with Ordevi Evedro. It's always fun and no one ever wins. It's the best. Tyler, I really like how Ransom is sort of, how to put it, like he's becoming a god of wonder in a way. Like, he's really leaning into and enjoying those opportunities where he can just show someone something, or even better, do something to or for them that just was beyond what they could imagine. You know, the sort of like offering to turn people into birds is becoming a common one, but you know, like being the one to go down and offer our two hangers on like the opportunity to see something that they definitely shouldn't and never would have gotten an opportunity to otherwise. But you're sort of becoming that like person who is opening up wonders to people. That's an interesting role outside of like the word structure of this. And Sherry, I actually just really enjoyed Threadless's like all of the building and all of the creation and the 4,000 people a day is all really great. But it was just like seeing that collapsed quarter of the temple just like itch at the back of Threadless's mind, like over and over again, to where she kept bringing it up, and like you felt like she was about this close to saying, hey, we could just stop for like an hour or two or maybe a week and I could just rebuild this and it'd be fine. Like, you guys don't have to be anywhere, right? Let me do it. I just need to fix it. That was a great thing to see from her.
Dan?
This was great. I really I enjoyed pairing up with Tassos kind of for our final thing, and how Tassos and Ordevi just play off each other in the worst possible ways. I really like, Patrick, what you're doing with Tassos shape shifting and I feel like the animals are becoming very pragmatic, but still have kind of this almost fearful element to them. So it's very evocative for me. Tyler, I'm so excited to see where Ransom goes. We called him captain because he's a captain of a ship, but he's really becoming not just sort of the leader of this little group, and as I called him earlier, the moral compass, but also this like the heart of the group. We're definitely orbiting around Ransom, who's sort of trying to keep us on the straight and narrow, and maybe trying to create a pantheon that does some kind of good in the world, which I'm really liking. And I think of all of us, Sherry, I feel like Threadless has gone through the most interesting arc. She was very wide-eyed and almost innocent, almost naive at the beginning of our story, and has gotten to be this sort of very pragmatic fix-it person. Like, okay, something's broken. You guys all screwed it up again, so let me clean up this mess. And I like I like where she's landing in that way. You know, I like where she's, how she's sort of matured in this way, and maybe is understanding her role in the world a little bit. So
nice
stuff.
Nice.
I cannot wait until January. I cannot wait.
Tyler?
This was awesome. Lowell, the grandeur, the bigness of this story was really cool. The danger was very there. I like that. It just, we keep opening up new things that just make you want to dig into it more. I mean, it's got that wonderful sort of soap opera epic kind of idea of every time we seem to get an answer, it just opens up more questions we want to learn more about, and that's fantastic. Patrick, I really enjoyed seeing Tassos develop. I think there's something in the beginning, there was kind of this, I like to inspire fear, but as it's gone along, I love that Tassos enjoys the fear. There's a kind of Addams Family element of reveling in the terrible. And it was really on display tonight. Oh, doesn't that sound just horrible? Sort of thing. That is really endearing and makes him a more sympathetic character, them a more sympathetic character, and a broader character. And I've just really enjoyed that. Sherry, I'll agree. It's so interesting to see the practical that comes from Threadless, because we're a weird, like the three of us are kind of a weird scattered group, and you can be very focused and practical, but then there's the neat play between you and I think you have this really solid taking care of business, and I feel like Ransom is thinking like the business here is there, but the bigger, thinking like a bigger idea on it. And there's just such a good back and forth pull on that is so needed. And I really enjoy how Threadless directs us and keeps us very centered in what's going on. I think that's just a nice dynamic for the group. And Dan, I've loved the duo character. The curiosity elements. I thought it was really touching and interesting to see the hesitancy right there at the end of, I've been burned before. And having someone with the sense to go, maybe we should hold up a moment, was really good to have. And I love the way you've integrated all of your powers to make this very interesting whole. Because sun and knowledge, I was like, that's a weird, but it fits so perfectly. all around, it's fit so well. So I've really loved this group. I'm looking forward to seeing how this pantheon develops. And even though we aren't doing wishes, there is something as we go on. I've gone through all the words and I haven't found any for that fourth word that fits me. And I've thought about maybe trying to make one that is inspiration in comparison to command, because command does not feel right for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so having one that is more of the inspirational leader than the command type leader is something, and maybe we could work on that.
Yeah, I need to think about what the like good base effect would be, and then at least give us a couple of good gifts to work from. Yeah, I think that's possible, and I think looking at some of the command and the other words that are kind of like not mind controlling, but like are about those emotions and things like that, you can easily pull together a good set of things that don't feel creepy.
Right, because like passion and command all get really kind of icky, but you could pull from some of those in music and those and try and get them into a slot.
I think you should give it a shot, definitely. Sherry?
So I'm rough digging like how each of us with each other has like strange dualities. Like you're kind of all alluding to it, but like our Devi Evedro is sort of another kind of knowledge set than I am, as he said, vocational versus academics and so on. Or practical versus philosophical, all of those things, but that there's a lot of fun to that. And it really is very funny when they kind of clash, like they get along on a lot of knowledge things. And then there's things where it's like, oh no, I'm going the opposite direction. And the same thing with Tassos. He is, how do you say, he is always going down the non-solution method to let's see what we could stir up, whereas she's trying to fix things. But then on the other hand, he uses his shape changing for incredible utility. So it's not, he just solves problems by changing himself, whereas she solves problems by changing the world around her. So there's just like those kind of weird little dualities that, and then Ransom, again, there is that thing of, you see the big picture of like, and maybe the emotional or the sort of like community need, whereas she sees, essentially, here's the situation, in order to get to the next minute alive, we do this. Is very much like are those steps. And there's just lots of moments where we are so different. I just love this pantheon. It's like we should fall apart, but we just get tighter and tighter, if that makes any sense. So that's been fun. And Lowell, you have built, like you've seeded all of this stuff. There was Chekhov's pirates out there all along. So, when we saw the storm, I was like, oh yeah, Storm Soul Pirates, it's just like, it's all there. You've seeded all of it. And it's just us kind of stumbling over things and going, oh, that's what that is. Okay. So, and I'm not saying that you have it all planned. I know that you just have these pieces and that they're kind of orbit. I mean, I know your process, but it's still, it's really good. So yeah, lots of stumbling is correct. But yeah, so it's been a lot of fun. It feels like there's a lot of freedom, but there's also some order to all of it. So it is cool to see. I'm really enjoying it. I'm looking forward to the next arc, where essentially we stumble into the big boy's house and find out that we're just the kids in our little clubhouse down below, and what that means for how we solve things going forward. So interesting.
Awesome. 4 XP, 2 Dominion. Make sure you add that to your sheet. I believe that will level people, and you can get that worked out for next time. I'm going to stop the recording.